hand so swiftly. Don't worry, I didn't expect it myself. But once I got the news, I couldn't help but to come out and inform the rest of the world. Now, as you can see, there have been a lot of conflicting statements that have been made. There have been a lot of conflicting things that's been said, done, just demonstrated, whatever you want to call it. Yes, hit the like button, everybody. They're not going to send out any notifications to this. You already know what time it is. Don't forget to hit that like button up, so the rest of the world will know what time it is. Absolutely. It's been a terrible number they've been doing here. I don't know what's going on. Now, thank all of you who arrived here faithfully. There's a lot of activity that isn't adding up right now, for whatever the reason may be. Yeah, we're trying to get the news out to the world, and they're trying to block it. How interesting is that? Thank you, guys. Hit the like button coming through the door, and we shall divulge into this a little bit more. I'm just making sure I do my part of getting this out to the world. Now, let's get to it. Now, here's the problem that we have here. You should have did the Easy story on One Crack News. Yeah, I mean, the way this is going, this is like ridiculous what they're doing right now. But anyway, let's get to it. Cassie Ventura today, the prosecution came through the door begging and kicking and screaming because they saying, okay, Cassie will take the stand, but you guys can go ahead and basically, cross-examine her, but not about the domestic situation. Don't ask her about any violence. They didn't want her to be triggered. She might have some mental things. No, that's not what the defense wants. The defense don't want them to put her on trial. They don't want Cassie being the one on trial. So they was like, no, do not cross-examine her. Because they don't want her being the victim. Like, she's not the one on trial. It's him. Diddy's the one on trial, not her. So that's what they want to portray. That's what they want to show to the world. That is her, not the other way around. So now what did they do? Right? What did they do to corroborate what said events? So what did they do? They went ahead and they decided, hey, let's go and do this. Let's try to go and say, oh, you can, what you can and can't ask Cassie. The judge said, no way, Jose. Y'all started this with this video, and y'all whole case has been about domestic. So if your whole case is about domestic, how you gonna change the game all of a sudden because you feel like it? Nah, you don't get to do that. You do not get to do that. Sorry. You can't play that game here. So your whole sympathy card that you're trying to run, you can scrap it. It's not working here. Go ahead and scrap it. It's not working here. She's not only going to have to testify, but the defense can go ahead and ask the questions that they want to ask about it, because that's what you based your whole case on. You based your case on this tape. So how are you going to sit there and try to act as if, it's only one-sided? Right. The defense team for Diddy said they're willing to admit to domestic, but they call it mutual violence, because they saying that Cassie Ventura, as I said from the beginning, Cassie Ventura was violent as well. That's what they're going to point out. And now they get to ask Cassie about her violence towards Diddy. And they want the the prosecution didn't want that on the table at all. And the judge said, oh, no, you don't get to have it that way. You can't go in there and accuse this man, and then they say something, and they want to cross-examine her about it and about the relationship of the violence. You want to go and walk it back? You don't get to do that. Yeah, they use lawyer terms like propensity for violence. They used all those terms. Now, there's a fine line of questioning that was centered around an instance where she has been violent in an attempt to illustrate her character and nature, and getting into physical altercation with other people. Saying that Cassie was often fighting with other people, not only just Diddy. See, they have what they said is their proof. Now, remember, Diddy and Cassie both went to shrinks. Now, if it's a legal situation, the shrink's records and things that he had on file can be provided in a courtroom. Will they provide that? Pay attention. Remember, the things that I'm telling you is showing up in trial. Everybody else is reacting to it. But all the stuff that I'm saying ends up popping up. When I was talking about Cassie being violent, that's the first thing they led with. Saying that this was a mutual, just violent, toxic relationship. It's a domestic situation. Both sides were doing the same thing. Diddy admitted to what he did because it's on tape. But he's saying my client will, admit to that because it's already there on tape. There's nothing there. Cassie was a strong, capable person who did not shy away from confrontations. Therefore, eroding prosecutors' argument that she was coerced throughout their relationship, it doesn't quite add up to the Cassie that they know. And what they've seen from the evidence that they have collected, the defense, they said rather than deny any violence, they just said, hey, there was hitting on both sides. It was a mutual violence in their relationship. They're admitting to their side of it, of this mutual violence thing. So now it's going to be a character of, if she was doing it also, and they get her on the stand to admit, what the prosecution is going to do is go to her and say, okay, look, they're going to come at you with this. Here's what you say. You're going to say, you were defending yourself against this bigger, stronger man. What were you supposed to do? That's what they're going to come with on the prosecution, because now they have no choice. So now now that they have to do it, let me tell you what's going to happen. The prosecutors are going to prep her all weekend. She could take the stand as quick as Monday. She's going to be the first one up on that stand. And they're going to prosecute her to the fullest. They're going to cross-examine her to the fullest. The defense is. They finna dig their teeth into her. Now, where do we stand right now? Because, see, for some weird reason, all of these things are not happening the way they're supposed to be happening. Okay? A lot of things are happening at a rate that it should not ever be happening. But for some reason, somebody out there don't want the world to hear or know what's happening. They've altered the views to this video. They've altered the views to the last video. They don't want me talking about this case. Why? You got everybody. You got T's and tails. It only takes one juror. Stupid woman. It don't take one juror. You can have one juror. You've been watching too many TV shows. That's your problem. It's not just one juror, okay? Because if one juror don't want to budge, you know what them other jurors are going to do? They're going to gang up on one juror. And that one juror that's holding up the case, they going to talk to him. The judge going to talk to him. They going to get everybody talking to the juror to say, what's the holdup? They said, we got one person that's holding this whole thing up. And then they're going to starve him out. They're going to do whatever they got to do. But then that person will get tired and want to go home. And he going to say, all right, I tried to hold out as long as I could. They fold. And the reason why I've seen multiple. They had 3-4 people in total disagreements. Then after they go in there, deliberate and start throwing out stuff like, what's holding you up? And then everybody's ganging up on you. It's very hard for a juror to stay put unless they've been bought. Now, if they've been bought, they can care less what anybody else in the room is saying. Okay? This is what's going on. Literally. Now, we're talking about what you should be getting ready to see in this trial. That they're going to push for, she was defending herself, to put her at the victim stage again when they start coming with this, her being violent. And I think Diddy's team is prepared for that. So if they do that, I think they're going to come with the evidence of saying it was defending yourself. Was it defending yourself when you attacked this person here, had this fight with her? Was it defending yourself with this situation over here? Was it defending yourself when you had a physical altercation over here that wasn't with Mr. Combs? You've had all these physical altercations. You were the victim in all of them? I'm willing to bet at the house, they are going to go with that. If she takes that angle, they're baiting. This is a chess game. They're baiting the prosecution to come out and make that bold statement. They like, go ahead. Go on and do it. Go on and do it. Go on and play that we was the victim and we were defending ourselves. Please do. So we can come with this other evidence. Because now we're going to take that video that you finna show and we want the whole video to be shown. Not this little clipped up stuff. We want you to show it in its entirety. Because they tired of painting this narrative. Is Diddy a freak? Yes. Is Cassie a freak too? Yes. She's a freak just like Diddy. They some freaky people doing a freak off. We have seen tapes and leaks of Cassie for years. Everywhere. Some of these people that seen it, they didn't see the photos. It's still on the internet. Look it up. Look at her face. Does it look like she's being coerced? She's loving it. Loving the camera. Wasn't shy about being nude at all. You will hear that she was also a person who adamantly took drugs. That'll probably come up in this trial as well. Diddy and her both went through therapy. And they stayed together about 4 more years after the fact. 4 more years of this so-called traumatic incident. This incident was so traumatic, it took them 4 more years of being together before they said, you know what? I think we should do something else. 4 more years? Exactly. Because I see where this thing is going to go. They're only hoping it goes in these directions. And they're just trying to see what happened and paint narratives and play the agenda game, like someone's greasing their pockets to do this or help pushing their videos so they can go ahead and say this narrative. Right. That's why they threw these civil suits out there so everybody can get crossed up with the examination, the evidence, and what it reads. So now the audience thinks that there's going to be, but that stuff backfires because you go in there as a juror and you done heard this stuff about underage girls and celebrities. They stinking them under the beds, all kind of goofy stuff you done heard all in the news. And you think that's all part of this trial. And none of it's there. Not one thing. Oh, they could add all those cases, you know, the teaser tales and all these other idiots. They're like, oh, well, they're going to add all those things to the trial. You just wait. This is just getting started. Remember they told us all this. We was all sitting here like, really? And they was like, just you wait. This is just getting started. We're like, okay, we will wait. But when they don't add no other people to this case, co-conspirators, when they don't add them to the case, I want y'all to come back and say, oh, you right, Sino. Was. You said was. She looked wiggled out the other day. The wig seemed like it was way over here. I'm like, she looked wiggled out. She got some nice boobs, though. But I don't think I can put up with that boob. I would explode. I can't do it. It'd be me and T's and Tails on that damn hotel tape. Snatch. That scene, oh, they reenacting the Diddy tape. Kick. I'm just kidding, by the way. That's just jokes. So they'd be Cino advocates violence against T's and Tails. No. Just a joke. But anyway, that's the facts of the situation. That they both were in a domestic situation together in a relationship. They both sunk out therapy. Both of them were in therapy together. So she can't just have her way. She's going to try to use this to relaunch whatever career she thought she had in the beginning. Remember, only people that know her because of Diddy. Do I think Diddy put hands on her? Yes. We all know Diddy put hands. That wasn't a shock. When the case first came out, before the tape even aired, we did a live stream together and we talked about, man, of course Diddy put hands on. Like, that was no problem. That was a no brainer there. We talking about the other stuff. Once he settled the lawsuit, they start pulling all these strings to come out to Diddy. Mm-hmm. Exactly. They had a delay. They had a delay in the trial, but the delay didn't mean anything. Like, it wasn't going to disturb anything that they had on the table going right now. You see, Diddy's lawyers insisted what they wanted to do, and everybody else made their mind up on what was appropriate and what wasn't appropriate. Why was Diddy wearing the same clothes as before? Because it's strategic. He's coming in looking like Cosby. Old, fragile, with glasses. He's going to go on the sympathy of the courts. Meanwhile, while everybody else try to assassinate his character, they're not going off the facts of the case. They're not going off all of the evidence that don't make any sense. They're not going off of all of the misdirection and all the dirty games that the prosecution has been playing. Everybody's trying to put it in everyone's mind that Diddy's just guilty. Why would you do that? I've seen them do that to all black people. They want to turn, those people want to turn black people against each other. They want to say all black people are, like, we didn't say it. It was his own people. The own people were saying it. They said that he was guilty. They start that whole chant. So y'all can go ahead and echo it because you don't have it, your mind of your own. They want to silence your mind. They don't want you to think. They want you to assimilate. So as long as you're in assimilation, then you're right where they want you to be. There's audio radio, I believe, of Cassie and Angela Yee on Lip Service. She was on that Lip Service podcast. I think Angela Yee took it down because the legal team told her to. But if Diddy team was quick enough, they should already have that. Because in that interview, she was talking about how freaky she is. If I'm not mistaken. He said, I attended the court today. Diddy was in a better place. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear he was in a better place. I just see the situation of this case and how it was put together and how it was formed. It was targeted. It was selective. It wasn't done with the right process. They made a RICO case with only one individual. That still ain't being discussed. As why is that still standing? New York court has this thing, even though they raided his home in Miami and in California. He wasn't living in New York. They saying they trying to use this videotape so they can keep it in New York. That's the only reason why. Because why would the Southern District, all these other laws, because they know in California and Miami, which they also got court jurisdiction, they know it's not like this. Not like the laws of New York. So they want to put it under the laws of New York City. It's like, come on. We see the games and the tricks and the politics that they're using. You know, people are not slow. And when they figure out, you know, like what your direction is and what your real agenda is, they're not going to care. They're going to say that's some bullshit. And then they're going to move on from that. Everybody's starting to see it already. You know, you got this situation with Cassidy or Cassie. Oh my God, I see a Cassidy. That'll be funny. Cassie, oh, I ain't got nothing to do with that, yo. They singing my songs over in Hong Kong, yo. Just got back from Iraq and Kuwait, and I can't wait because she's fake. Yeah, Your Honor. I hear you wanted to say that I put my hands on her. Did I do that? I mean in a good way. I didn't try to strangle on her. Now, I've seen these guys. And when I see these guys come through and do what they do, they haters. They are all haters. They are all out here hating on Diddy. Oh, it's 100% no. Think about it for a minute. If you're Sean Diddy Combs, you got everybody in the free world going against you. You can't get a fair trial anywhere. Every time they say free trial, they might as well say free cheese. You ain't getting that. You might as well don't ask, don't talk, don't look, don't walk. You are not going to get it. And as a black man looking at this, and you see this case, and you see it ain't based on facts, it's not being based on the evidence, it's not being based on any of these principles. It's being based on railroading, going against the system, going against what should be law, using fake evidence or altered evidence to hold a man in jail while he's on trial, not giving him bail for 50 million, but let somebody go with 10 who got more charges. His case is not even being discussed and tried in court. And he got way more money than Diddy. This is Abercrombie and Fitch. Now this dude is claiming mental insanity to stand trial. He's not mentally capable to stand trial. That's his claims now. So now he's not mentally stable to go to trial. And all of that is on the back page. But yet, we're supposed to ignore that. Ignore all these facts that have taken place and all the games that the prosecution has done. And we're supposed to ignore all of that and go along with Cassie, who's not even a black woman. If I was in here talking bad about Diddy, they'll be pushing my videos through the moon. But because I'm sitting up here, because when this first started, they thought I was talking bad about Diddy. So anything came up, they was pushing it to the moon. Then when they said, hey, wait a minute, this guy's not saying what we thought he was saying. Oh, we got to push him down. Now, if I put anything with Diddy on there, oh, no, push that down. I don't understand how someone like Teaser Tales ended up in a documentary on Diddy, and he's suing HBO for that documentary because they said you let people just basically lie on Diddy, and Diddy went right after Teaser Tales. Right. They're going to bring some, what they call victim number 5. They're going to allow some testimony from some victim that, well, that person's name will have to be named in the trial. But they got victim number 5 who is going to be identified once he goes to court, or he or she goes to court. So if that's the speculation and what they want to go in that direction, everyone said, "Oh, that's Capricorn Clark." Well, she's not involved in the case. Like she's not. She doesn't have a civil charge against him or nothing like that. So yes, Capricorn Clark is a friend of Cassie. So if she's coming in, then you know where that's gonna go. They had Diddy allegedly put them hands and paws on her too. So this is show that Diddy has a history of putting his hands on people, which he probably don't deny, because that's not even what he's on trial for. This is not a domestic case, but they're gonna bring these other people in here to try to, you know, make it look as if there's a pattern of behavior. Oh yeah, they have the victim number 4. This could be, which I believe is probably the chef, to come in there to tell a story how Diddy, you know, had sexual acts in front of her and wanted her to join in. I don't see that as a problem. If somebody wanted to ask you to join in, he didn't force you to join in. You didn't join in, so this would work in the defensive stance of what the prosecution want to do. So if they want to put that shelf on there, the defense would go, well, he asked you, did you want to get involved in the act? You didn't. You didn't quit that day, but he didn't force you to stay. He didn't stop you from leaving. He didn't make you get involved. You left and he let you leave. So this goes against the argument of what the prosecution is trying to say. Diddy is doing entrapment and making people not leave and locking all the doors. Right. And that's what we're talking about. Nobody has to condone anything. Like, I don't condone Diddy's sexual private behavior, but, I don't do that. So that's not what I do. And even if I had his means, I wouldn't do that. I'm old school. I got enough problems with just one. One is enough to give you a headache. Then to sit there and be worried about, that's too much work. So all of these people are here to tell these stories and try to make themselves a victim to something. So what this is a blitz. It's like, okay, let's blitz and start throwing stuff up against the wall to throw at Diddy, and it's supposed to mean something. So now all of these people who coming up are going to be identified, and their characters are going to be called into question. But here's the thing: is how's the defense supposed to prepare a defense when you're popping up people on the stand as the trial is going on? I mean, that's the part right there that gets me. No, they don't. They don't believe in it. Everything is escalating. That's why. I wouldn't have it no other way. No. When you start doing activities that don't make sense, all right, well, it don't make sense. So if you're going to go down that route, then what's done is done. The defense is already making their, yeah, well, yeah, well, if you're looking at all of the activities that are transpiring around the globe, no, I'm telling you, around the globe, you're not going to find a jury that's not partial, impartial. What you're having is a jury that is definitely not on your side. You're having a jury that's, yeah, well, that's another situation altogether. Like everything that they keep going through, this whole dragging out process. Do you imagine what Diddy is spending in legal fees and what the people of New York is paying in taxes to the prosecution just to keep these lawyers up here? Well, when you hear back from people and you do certain things, then people would know. We either have a solution or we don't. Mm. He said the irony of the video they put out might mess up the trial because it moved public opinion. It might, but when you get involved in the trial, the people that's there and they actually see the real evidence and they listen to the defense, because you've been listening to nothing but rhetoric, and it's been pro Cassie through the entire media and everything else. No one else is considering or thinking about the possibilities of the other side and hearing what they got to say. The defense is basically for Diddy is not even out here. Yeah, so I'm not really interested in that. Especially at that point. I'm not, there's no real interest in that. But yeah, that's just, well, there's no real interest in that. But yeah, so that's all. That's really all it is. There is because there's no real interest in it. It's not doing nothing for anyone. So it becomes a case of what's the point? Like, what was it even brought up for? What was the proper engagement? Of course, it's hard to pick jurors, but they got to pick them. So they got some already on trial. Mm, that's a good point, but also take this into consideration. The majority of the people who take that kind of stance are exactly the type of people they want to avoid in this business. They don't want a lot of those people in this business doing anything of that sort. So you're often going to be faced with a reality that you didn't create, that you weren't interested in. I'm okay with that. Other people are not okay with it, but it depends on who you are as a person. I just think it's a very, yeah, it's a very weird situation. I don't think it'll be tainted with Diddy fans. They caught one juror lying about what they didn't see online. They just wanted to be on the trial, because if you look at it, you'll have a juror doing interviews now. When this case is over, it's a popular case. They can write a book. I was juror number 4, and make their own way out of it, man. That's what I'm saying. Today, you can't get a fair anything anymore. You got people with no integrity just walking around. Everybody with zero integrity. And if that's what you want in your life, that's what you're gonna be faced with. Well, it's like if someone owes you money and they know they owe you the money, but they don't give it to you. Well, it's always a problem. It's always a problem until it's not. You see, someone's going to come along and say, oh, well, this case is going in this direction. Well, they're going to include a new juror. They're going to bring this in here. There's always going to be some twists and turns in this case. But scoring a big victory today for Diddy was making sure that they get to cross-examine Cassie and ask her about it, because the prosecution fought today to try to get that removed, and they lost. The judge said, no, you can't have it that way. If you're going to include domestic violence in this whole thing here, the way it's laid out, you don't get to come in and change the way it's going. You can't say, oh, well, you can't ask my client that. That's not fair. So they also agreed that they would yeah, they will give over the video, whatever. Mm-hmm. No, I don't see nothing like that happening. A lot of things that are brought to the forefront is not making sense. And for the life of us, we're like confused. Okay, Blackjack, why did Mary J leave a bad boy? Hmm? How did he do it? Why did she leave? No. I was waiting on his response and we didn't hear it. So that was that. But since we're here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the nature of the things that we're doing. Things that's supposed to make a difference or make a decision. We have not heard, we have not seen, we have not really even put together to fathom any of the nuance that they put in there. Yeah, when you score a huge win like they did today and was able to say the type of words that you wanted to say. Oh, all right. Well, let's see. Well, this teaser tales woman is going live right now. I don't think she's live. I think she's posted a video basing off of what I've been talking about already. Well, most guys don't want to get involved. That's up to them. People don't want to get involved. But when you get teaser tales live, I could rock with that. All day, every day, even twice on Saturday. Hmm. Man, free Puff. I mean, free something because this is all messed up. To be honest, this is all crazy. What's up, Miss Randolph? Yeah, I'm tired of this case. I'm tired of a lot of this stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here though, so that we can put all this stuff to bed. All right. I'll holler at y'all later. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bust Life, Outlaw for coming through. And hopefully YouTube's supposed to be fixing whatever problem this is. They messing my channel up. I gotta go. Deuces.